welcome. My name is Chris from ChristopherHole.com and welcome to today's podcast. It's episode 23 and the topic is diabetes and exercise, 5 top tips. Now, obviously, when it comes to diabetes, a lot of the information out there is around diet and nutrition, which is a very important element, probably a little bit more important than exercise. But exercise does play a role within conditioning your body to be able to manage the diabetes a lot better. So where the food is the fuel and we obviously stop putting as much sugar into the body, what we can do as well is we can start priming the body to be able to process any sugar that does come in, but also just get it into a little bit more of a healthier and a fitter state with regards to the efficiency and how it works when it comes to diabetes and processing any glucose that does come into the body. So we're going to start off with some benefits of exercise, maybe some things that you might not have thought of, maybe some things that might encourage you to think about, if not start an exercise program along with any nutritional changes that you are making. And then what we'll do is we'll come on to the 5 top tips with regards to that exercise regime or plan that you do want to sort of start thinking about. So just before we get into that, I would just like to mention my social channels. You can see on the bottom of the page here, on the bottom of the screen, you've got on Facebook, it's Christopher Hole Training, and you've got on Twitter, it's at Christopher Hole. So come along to those, like and follow. I'm always sharing information on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. With regards to anything health and fitness orientated, it might be diet, nutrition, it might be exercise, it might just be movement, injuries, habits, behaviors, anything that really sort of sits under that umbrella of health and fitness. I try and put as much information and education together for people that want to improve their health and fitness. Alternatively, you can come to the website, and on here it's christopherhole.com/workshops. You can go onto there. There is a health coaching program. You can come on and you can book onto that. It's again, it covers everything within that umbrella of health and fitness. So again, we go through in a little bit more detail, and I can specifically answer certain questions on nutrition, diet, exercise, movement, behaviors, habits, so on and so forth. So it's sort of it's an extension, and it's a little step further into the topic of health and fitness and how we achieve our health and fitness goals, if you will. So coming back to today's topic, we are talking about diabetes and with regards to exercise. So what we are again looking for, and I suppose I'll mention again, is to start building an exercise plan, because it's a good way of helping prime our body and making it efficient and effective at processing any glucose that comes into our system. So some of the benefits that we might get from doing an exercise plan is our muscles can use the glucose that's being either taken into the body through diet or that is already in the system that isn't being processed by the body. So what will happen is your muscles will start to use that glucose. So if there is an increased amount in the bloodstream, the muscles will actively start to take that, or the body will start to actively take it from the bloodstream and put it into the muscle cells, so they can process it and use it as a form of fuel. Another thing that it will do, the body will use the insulin more effectively, depending on how your body, if it's not creating enough insulin, or it's not creating any insulin, or it's just not using the insulin that it's making. During exercise, your body will become a little bit more effective at using the insulin that's there, or that's being produced. Another one is that it'll improve your balance with regards to high and low blood sugars. People can it can affect people's balance. So including balance training into your exercise, it's not just about sort of busting yourself on a treadmill and trying to run as hard and as fast as you can. There are other elements to it. One of them is balance training, so being able to have stable ankles, stable knees, stable hip, so on and so forth, is also going to help with regards to the condition that is diabetes. Number 4, it will help you lose body fat if it's in conjunction with a weight loss goal. Obviously, the exercise will play a part in helping the reduction in body fat. Number 5, it'll improve sleep quality. Number 6, it'll improve your cardiovascular system, so your heart and your lungs. And number 7, it'll improve your immune system. So taking advantage of an exercise program when it comes to diabetes, along with any nutritional programming and changes that you're making, will only help, it won't hinder. So what we then do is we then come on to the top tips with regards to the exercise program, the exercise plan, or the exercise regime. So first of all is get the okay from the doctor. That's the number one. So go to the doctor, get the okay from them. They sign the bit of paper if they need to sign it, or they just tell you, yep, you're okay to exercise. Then number 2 is have a plan. Get yourself an individualized plan which might need to take into consideration your medication schedule, the presence and severity of diabetic complications, your objectives, and any expected benefits that you want to get from it. So there does need to be an individual or individualized element to it. So make sure you've got a plan. Don't just go into the gym and start exercising. Where that will have initial benefits, it will also have a limit to it. So you'll only get so much from it, and that will generally start at the beginning of that program. Number 3 is start with aerobic training. So it could be something as simple as walk up a hill. So a lot of people want to complete the 10,000 steps a day, which is good because it is getting you active. And if that's where you are and that's where you need to begin, then that's what you do. But just doing that, as I mentioned in the last one, is have a plan, is that will only get you so far. So what you then need to start thinking about is, okay, how can I bring a little bit more intensity to this? Because what you will need to start doing is make your exercise what's called a little bit more anaerobic, which is using energy without, or creating energy without the use of oxygen. So what we need to be able to do is use the sugars or use the glucose to form that energy, because it's without the presence of oxygen. So we need to increase the intensity essentially. Now that can include walking up a hill. So go and find yourself a nice hill and start walking up it. If you are at the gym, then it's starting to increase the intensity of the exercise. Now that doesn't mean running on a treadmill or going and doing HIIT training. It can just mean putting the incline up on a treadmill or using a higher gear on a bike and starting to increase the intensity that way. Number 4 is to include balance training. As I mentioned before in the benefits, it's going to improve your balance. Now, what we want to be able to do is include balance training into our exercise regime. So we've got the aerobic training, we're completing 10,000 steps, and then we're moving on to walking up a hill or adding some intensity in the gym. Then what we might do is we might go and do what's called, well, it's called balance training, but essentially standing on one leg, going down into kneeling on one leg and balancing. When you balance on your foot, that's going to give you very good ankle and foot stability. When you drop down onto one knee, that's going to then start to help with hip stability. So we want to start including this type of balance training into an exercise regime. And then number 5 is to start lifting your own body weight. So nice simple exercises like squats and push-ups and lunges that can start encouraging your muscles to also not only sort of process glucose a lot more effectively with the aerobic exercise, but becoming stronger and requiring more of the components that need to be held within the muscle cell. So with regards to diabetes, obviously a big part of that is going to be your body's ability to process glucose, but there are triglycerides in there, there are various vitamins and minerals in there. So what we want to be able to do with the muscle cell is be able to hold more of that in there, and so it can process it a lot more effectively. Also using your own body weight, again, it doesn't have to be sort of heavy squats, the press ups don't need to be on the floor. You could use an incline on a bench or on a sofa. There's lots of ways of making a sort of a body weight or strength training program work for you. So those are the sort of the 5 essential tips that you will need if you want to go and start an exercise regime or an exercise program within the gym. So just to recap, number 1 is get the okay from your doctor first of all. Number 2 is have an individualized plan for yourself, be it written by you or be it written by someone else. Now that doesn't mean writing the whole thing all at once, but first of all just write down what you can do and then think about the next level on from that, if you will. And then to include in that program is an aerobic training component, so cardiovascular, so walking, cycling, if you're up to it, running, all those types of things. Number 4 is include balance training, so standing on one leg, going down into a kneeling position on one knee. And then number 5 is lifting your own body weight, so using exercises like squats and like push-ups to be able to encourage your muscles to get stronger, to start using and holding more of the components that create a healthier, more effective muscle cell. So hopefully that's been of use to you. Hopefully you can take some of those nuggets. You may need to go and investigate a little bit further. I will be bringing out more information around building exercise programs and nutrition around diabetes. But for now, hopefully that's just giving you a better idea of the types of things that you need to start including before you can actually start looking at the specific exercises themselves and the timings and the intensities and things like that. So just take those 5 tips, start putting them into place, come back, listen to some more videos about certain exercises that you want to include, and then you can start building your regime and building your plan in a little bit more depth, if you will. So many thanks for watching. Thank you for listening in. This is episode 23 of our podcast. I will speak to you in episode 24.